From Newzroom Afrika studios in Randburg, Johannesburg, welcome to this week's episode of This Week in Politics. My name is Vuyo Mvoko. Thank you for joining us. On the show this week,
we are ready to deal with whatever disruption.
Now is the time for SAPS and the criminal justice system to step up.
Such activities must remain peaceful, responsible, and within the confines of the law.
As the Tuesday deadline looms for illegal migrants to leave South Africa, the government, some of the country's leading political parties, taxi and civil society associations are taking a firm stand.
Don't tell us that refugees and asylum seekers are waiting for their documents to be processed. South Africans are waiting for their IDs.
The group of organizations behind the threat to shut down the country, though, say there is no turning back. In a week that saw the mysterious deaths of at least 3 councillors from different political parties, we ask, how many more must die before the November 4 local government poll to prevent a carnage?
The tone of leadership says a lot. It has a direct impact on what happens in that institution. And by tone, I'm talking about the quality, the caliber, the ethics, the priorities of the people elected and appointed to lead municipalities.
This in the same week, Auditor-General Maluleke once again painted a bleak picture, especially of the biggest and richest municipalities, the metros, none of which received a clean audit this week. And who will blink first on the Palapala saga? This president, the Speaker of the National Assembly, or opposition parties? All that and more coming up in this week's episode of This Week in Politics.
Point side. Diane.
Scenes from the 2021 civil unrest in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, the worst since the 1994 dawn of democracy. Over 300 people lost their lives. Economic losses were estimated at over 50 billion rands. With a few days remaining before the June 30 deadline imposed by immigration advocacy groups for undocumented migrants to leave the country, the police, the army, state intelligence, private security firms, taxi organizations, and major political parties are bracing themselves, vowing to ensure that South Africa won't shut down on Tuesday. On Friday, with 3 days remaining before the deadline set by organizations like March and March, the dozen ministries comprising the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Migration moved to assure the country that the nation has nothing to fear. The chairperson of the Inter-Ministerial Committee, Justice and Constitutional Development Minister, Mamoloko Kubai, revealed that state law enforcement agencies weren't waiting for Tuesday. They are taking no chances and have already started dealing decisively, she said, with those they believe have already broken the law in certain respects.
As of 21 June 2026, 89 incidences related to public order and incitement have been reported and registered as criminal cases, up from 53 the previous week. A total of 164 people have been arrested for offenses including incitement of violence, contravention of the Regulations of Gatherings Act, and other related transgressions. Of these, 36 cases are already on the court roll, while 42 remain under active investigation. Multidisciplinary enforcement operation led by the Deputy Ministers of Home Affairs, Police and Employment and Labour have continued in several provinces. A recent operation conducted in Tshwane resulted in 35 arrests, including 2 employers charged with employing undocumented foreign nationals.
She then went on to warn those planning to use social media to spread misinformation and inflammatory content to unlawfully promote their campaign.
Misinformation, incitement of hatred or violence and fake news spread on social media and any platform will be prosecuted. And we disassociate many people. We actually ask people to disassociate from them. Please don't circulate in your WhatsApp what you have not verified. We are picking up a lot of WhatsApp groups that are sending information that is fake, that is false. We are asking every South African citizen to be responsible, not to circulate information that that is not been verified, that actually you find that the sources are actually in terms of fake, to discredit and harm the image of the country.
Having disclosed earlier in the week that they even have an extra 600 million rands kitty, Acting Police Minister Feroz Kachalia reiterated the police and army's readiness to deal with any potential disruptions ahead during and after the 30th of June.
We have deployed all resources, human, technology, physical resources across the country, adequate to potential threats of disruption, to ensure that the country is kept safe and secure in the next, going forward. As Minister Kubai has said, from our point of view, June the 30th is a normal day, and we plan to ensure that, as well as security after June the 30th.
Repatriations, meanwhile, haven't stopped. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber saying they are continuing and they are being managed lawfully and humanely.
Over 15,000 of the repatriations that have now been successfully completed under difficult circumstances in many cases. I think it indicates the extent to which we are determined to go above and beyond to ensure that we manage these processes in a lawful, orderly and humane manner. Even in cases where there are incidents that are not directly caused or related to our work, we do step in to assist with those.
The ministers echoed their boss, who had the opportunity the day before to update Parliament and, by extension, the nation, when President Cyril Ramaphosa faced questions from the National Council of Provinces. The legislators were keen to know not just his views, but also what his government is doing to address illegal immigration in the country.
South Africa cannot address migration alone. Through SADC, the African Union and bilateral relations that we have with many countries, we will work together to tackle political instability, conflict and economic hardships that drive people to leave their homes and to come here. We have made it clear that every person within our borders must be here lawfully. We have also said that responsibility for enforcing our laws rests with the state and the state alone, and that no individual may stop any person to demand documentation or proof of identity or nationality. There is no place for racism in our country, no place for sexism, for xenophobia, for Afrophobia, or any other form of intolerance. As government, we have put in place security and other measures to deal with any attempts to destabilize our country, whether by citizens or foreign nationals, and we will not tolerate any attempts to destabilize the country by anyone, whether marching or otherwise. We are ready to deal with whatever disruption, instability that could take place. I'm a strong believer that South Africans are peaceful people. They are not xenophobic. They are not Afrophobic as well. And they want peace. They just want every day of the week to go on a peaceful basis without any disruption of their lives, disruption of services, and any danger to the life of anyone. So on the 30th, as people are saying, all manner of things will happen. We are taking measures to ensure that the 30th becomes a normal day where people will be able to work, to go about their business. Our security forces are ready. Net Joins is firmly in charge of what could happen.
Now, a couple of days before that appearance before Parliament, DA leader Jordan Hill-Lewis had given the president tacit support. In what he dubbed an important address to the nation, Hill-Lewis shared his perspective on how the country arrived at its current stage regarding illegal immigration and aired his thoughts on how to deal with the threat of a national showdown.
Threats of violence and anarchy cannot be acceptable in a constitutional democracy. The law must be enforced by the state, not by mobs, not by vigilantes, and not by politicians who stoke hatred for votes. Now is the time for SAPS and the criminal justice system to step up and enforce the law without fear or favor. No individual or group gets to set deadlines for who may live in South Africa. No one may demand another person's papers in the street. No one may threaten a family, close a shop, block a road, or loot a business.
The DA leader said he engaged President Cyril Ramaphosa regarding collective efforts to ensure the rule of law is maintained.
Earlier today, I reached out to President Ramaphosa to say that this must be a moment for all governments to work together. DA governments, ANC governments, provincial governments, local governments, and national government. Every mayor, every premier, every minister, every law enforcement agency has a duty to lower the temperature, prevent violence, protect communities, and uphold the law. This is a moment for every government to show that the law still means something in our country.
The leaders of the two largest political parties, namely Cyril Ramaphosa and Jordan Hill-Lewis, are, of course, partners in the government of national unity. And clearly they do differ from the third largest party, which is the official opposition. Members of former President Jacob Zuma's MK party have previously protested alongside the group March and March, and their leadership has formally met with the anti-immigration group a couple of times. The fourth largest party, the EFF, however, has long made its stance clear.
Let's love each other. As black people, let's love one another. But ba eshu na re gotse ba re botsa gore bana ba motho ba ngwatelana tho ya tšie. Re a sokola ka moka. Le maZimbabwe a na le a sokola. Le maMalawi na le a sokola. Re a sokola ka moka. Ha una EFF ye reng batho ba tsentse di drugs. Ha o le mo South Africa o followa molao wa mo South Africa o ngwana wa bo rena re ngwathelana tho ya tšie. Mara o tisha di drugs mo South Africa a ngwana bo rena. You don't belong to us. Even when you are a South African who's sending drugs to our children, you don't belong to us.
But it wasn't just political leaders who took a clear stand this week, barring perhaps the MKP and Action SA. Santaco, the largest taxi association, representing over 120,000 operators and about 950 affiliated associations, also entered the fray. There can be no shutdown, the organization says. On Tuesday, it should be business as usual.
While we respect that all South Africans enjoy the constitutional right to express their views and that they can advocate for policy reform and participate in lawful demonstration, such activities must remain peaceful, responsible, and within the confines of the law.
Welcome back. You're watching This Week in Politics. And if you've just joined us, we're still talking about what political leaders, but also civil society organizations have had to say ahead of that deadline imposed by organizations like March and March, who want all illegal immigrants to leave the country by Tuesday. Let's hear now from those who are going to be on the ground ensuring that whatever happens, it's peaceful and law and order is in fact maintained. Police chiefs from provinces, 4 key provinces I should say, which could see major activity in the shutdown if the shutdown threat is carried through, insist that the law would indeed be maintained. These provinces will also receive the bulk of the extra 600 million rands allocated for policing before, during, and after Tuesday. They all maintain that the country is safe from both current and future threats posed by anti-illegal immigrant lobby groups.
Acts of intimidation, public violence, blockading the roads, and incitement of violence will be dealt with in accordance with the law. It is a constitutional right to march, as much as it is a constitutional right not to march. The 30th of June is a normal day. It's a normal Tuesday. It is a working day in South Africa. Police will be out there to ensure that those who are going to work are going about their business and do so without fear or intimidation.
Western Cape Provincial Police Commissioner Thembisile Patekile says in their efforts to maintain law and order, protesters are discouraged from bringing arms, sticks, some religious regalia, among others. He says they will prevent anyone with the above-mentioned items from participating in the march. The commissioner says they have the right to direct and stop the march if necessary.
No arms are allowed. If you march, you don't have to have a stick, you don't have to have anything, you just march, that's all. And you don't hide your face because you want to see your face. If you talk about traditional issues or religious issues, then don't go to the march. If you have that choice that this is your traditional weapon or it's your religious choice to have the mask on yourself, don't get to the march because we're not going to allow you. So it's a choice is yours. But when it comes to the day that you're doing that, we will prevent you. We will ensure that you're not part of the march. Or then you'll suffer the consequences.
The police won't walk alone. One of the country's leading private security companies has pledged support.
We as the security industry are being part and we would like to support the police in all the efforts from the gathering of information, air support, ground support, etc. We do need the police. We don't have the same powers that they've got, so definitely we'll work hand in hand out of the joint operation centers where we will be present with them and we will support and assist them wherever we can.
Meanwhile, much leaders have reiterated calls for the police to detain undocumented foreign nationals.
We are calling on the South African Police Service that on the 30th of June, since you will have unlimited resources, all the police are not working, please use that as a day to go house to house and arrest illegal immigrants. Because the march is not going to go on the whole day. You're going to be paid for the whole day. So when the march is finished, use it as a day to go house to house and remove illegal immigrants from our communities because we don't feel safe. And this is a call that all South Africans are making, that 600 million, we must see it going to work on the 30th. Go and remove illegal immigrants from their homes, go and verify the documents from the bill. Don't meet them and tell them what their rights are. Go and tell them what laws they've broken and arrest them. That's the job of SAPS. Don't tell us that refugees and asylum seekers are waiting for their documents to be processed. South Africans are waiting for their IDs. Yeah. They don't have jobs. They need passports. Some of them want to travel for jobs overseas. That's what we want to hear. We don't want to hear our Home Affairs telling us they're busy processing refugee documents. That's secondary to what we want as South Africans.
Now, in a week that saw the mysterious deaths of at least one councillor, I should say, and two different would-be councillors, we're asking how many more people must die before the November 4 local government poll to prevent a carnage. That story and many more coming up, so don't go. With just over 4 months until the November 4 local government elections, fear is mounting that councillor assassinations may rise once again. One councillor and 2 candidates died last weekend. On Friday, the community of the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro in the Eastern Cape buried one of their councillors. 43-year-old ANC councillor Sicelo Mleve was fatally shot in his constituency office during last weekend's voter registration drive. Newzroom Africa's Sipakema attended his memorial service earlier this week.
The pain was impossible to hide for those who gathered at a memorial service to honor murdered Nelson Mandela Bay Ward 27 councillor Sicelo Mleve.
Half of me, or rather a part of me, is murdered. To put it on record, Sicelo was a godfather to my late son. I'm currently a godfather to his daughter, Uqawe. I'm broken. We've lost a leader of note, a selfless warrior, an altruistic individual.
Residents in his ward have described Mleve as someone who was deeply involved in community development.
Abantu benzele into kuSicelo Mleve ababulelanga uSicelo yedwa, babulele i-community yonke. uSicelo besebenza kakhulu ewadini bayakhala abantu besebenza uSicelo nangoku kukho indlela ibiza kwenza ubisuppose biqalile Monday ayiqalanga ngoba kaloku uSicelo akakho.
For some colleagues, the relationship went far beyond politics. Mleve was also remembered as someone who opened doors for others and celebrated their success as if it were his own.
I met Sicelo Mleve early 2000 while she was still in the Youth League. At the time, I was a branch secretary in the same ward. We did together everything of our organization until 2011, when he spearheaded for me and lobbied for me to be the ward councillor of Ward 28, then before demarcation.
But alongside the tributes, questions remain. Nelson Mandela Bay's Infrastructure MMC says tensions surfaced during recent nomination processes.
There was a chaos. The elderly people left who were supporting him. We knew we no longer had numbers. And as such, he was never nominated in the four ward candidates. But what he said, and what we also believed, because he served well the community, he will emerge in the community.
As mourners called for answers, colleagues and friends insist that accountability must follow.
Justice for me, or justice for us, unlike what we know justice to be, really we want justice that brings people to book. We want names, faces, people arrested.
As family, friends and colleagues and residents gathered to remember Sicelo Mleve, the grief remains. Tributes paint a picture of a leader described as dedicated to his community, a loyal friend and committed public servant. But beyond the speeches and songs of remembrance, the loss was visible in those closest to him. As police investigations into his killing continue, many here say the greatest tribute to Mleve will be ensuring that justice is served. For Newzroom Africa on Channel 405, I'm Sipakema at Soweto on Sea, Abeja.
In the city of Cape Town, the DA is offering a 50,000 rand reward to anyone with information leading to the arrest of the killers of the party's councillor candidate, Vuyo Mvoko. She was fatally shot 10 times after returning home from last weekend's voter registration drive.
In February of this year, Sino contacted me to say that she was the victim of an extortion threat, that 7 men had come and threatened her that if she did not pay the Gupta protection fees, that something bad would happen. So I asked her to make a sworn affidavit with the police, which she did, And I also circulated that to our investigative services, asking them to follow up, to check up on that. Last night when I heard this horrible news, I followed up again, and they are busy working with the South African police on this case from last night already. And I followed up this morning. They have, as the mayor has now said, they have some good leads and some good insights leads that they are following up on.
Also in Cape Town, police are investigating the murder of another councillor candidate, Build One South Africa's Leon Nkwe, who was shot 7 times during the same registration weekend.
We don't know the reason why Bekuteni. We don't have that information. As we are sitting here, we don't know really what has happened. Nzima kakhulu. And ebengumntu kenyani ebezimisele and khuthele thanda kakhulu umbutho. And yet masesibona because sibonile ukuthi and kugcwele and abantu bayaregisterisha and ngumntu nje ojubilant.
Now, there is no updated or up-to-date information just yet. I'm told the latest figures are still being processed and verified. History, though, does tell a story about this phenomenon. Between 2000 and 2016, 443 verified incidents of violence occurred in this country. From 2000 to 2018, 89 councillors were killed. And the killings, it has been found, peak during elections and in the immediate aftermath. While all provinces affected, KZN tops the list. Community members, we're told, are responsible for 63% of the violence and threats, while political party members account for 39%. Business people and trade unionists are each responsible for 8%. The question, I guess, is what must be done? How many more councillors and prospective councillors must be affected before the carnage stops? Before the November poll, and of course, beyond. 3 deaths this past week are 3 too many. But that wasn't the only sad news to emerge from local government this week. According to the Auditor-General, over half of the country's municipalities are bankrupt. 45% passed unfunded budgets, and fewer than 20% achieved clean audits. Particularly concerning for Tsakani Maluleke is the regression of the country's 8 metros, none of which achieved a clean audit. Together, the municipalities account for, wait for it, 54% of the 2024-2025 estimated local government expenditure budget.
The tone of leadership says a lot. It has a direct impact on what happens in that institution. And by tone, I'm talking about the quality, the caliber, the ethics, the priorities of the people elected and appointed to lead municipalities as mayor, as speaker, as councillors. Because together, they also set the tone for who gets appointed at the administration, being the municipal manager, the CFO, and other HODs. They also set the tone for what's tolerable and acceptable in terms of performance by the administration and what gets sanctioned and punished when they don't do the right things. Right? So it's crucial that we worry about the caliber of people that are going to run local government as mayors, as speakers, and ultimately even as councillors. And then we've got to worry about the competence, the expertise, the stability at administration. We must worry about whether or not the accounting officer, being the city manager or the municipal manager, has got the skills to do the job that's required. Similarly, the CFO and other heads of department. Those 2 things the quality at executive leadership, the quality at administration leadership will start to make different choices, and they'll start to set different priorities that will move the needle towards better performance, better prioritization of service delivery, and better accountability to citizens.
To look at this issue, I'm now joined by Dr. Sam Goma, a governance expert. Dr. Goma, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. By all accounts, a terrible scorecard and, dare I say, a vote of no confidence in the leadership of local government, both political and administrative.
Absolutely, Vuyo. The Auditor-General looked at a 4-year period in terms of the performance of municipalities, that is between 2021 to this day, and she's very concerned that there's not been any tangible movement in the area of municipalities being able to achieve clean audits. So she says that picture remains disturbing because in the report she does highlight that in the area of internal controls, many municipalities are still failing to strengthen their internal controls. They continue to fail to comply with applicable legislation, and also the issue of lack of consequence management. So she says these are 3 crucial problems that have remained persistent, and in fact, according to the report, she says municipalities have been complacent in the last 4-year period, and in fact, they should begin to show commitment towards achieving a clean audit. So you're quite right. It's a very terrible scorecard. If you look at measures, interventions, and the call for action that has always been consistently expressed and also called for by the Auditor-General, including other crucial players involved in the local government accountability ecosystem, in the main, the national government, the SCOPA, and also other crucial role players.
But I mean, if we were to talk about the metros specifically, where there's been, I mean, a quite significant regression. The interesting thing about them is that that's apart from the fact that, I mean, between the 8 of them, they have the majority of, you know, the budget. But what's interesting is that they are in the big cities where you don't have a shortage of skills. All right? They have access to skills, to better resources compared to the rest of the municipalities. Yet, year in and year out, we are exactly where we are. In fact, worse this time around, in a worse position this time around.
Yes, you're right. And the clearest example of this magnitude of a problem is just to look at the city of Joburg, which, as we speak, it is faced with 3 interventions. One intervention is the Presidential National Water Crisis Committee that is looking at the whole issue of the water supply problem besetting the city of Joburg. You also have the electricity minister, or the Minister of Electricity, Dr. Ramakgopa, who has also intervened around the issue of the Eskom debt that the city is owing Eskom, and of course they're looking at how best can the city of Joburg honor its obligations in terms of the debt repayment. And of course, lately, you also have the Minister of Finance, Mr. Kotongwan, who has since directed the city to reverse its wage bill, and also having indicated that they've passed an unfunded budget. And of course, we know that he has since on record stated that he's going to withdraw or stop the transfer of the equitable grant that is due to the city of Joburg until the city of Joburg attends to the issues that he has flagged as part of looking at the financial governance and capability of the city of Joburg. But you're quite right. We've been saying that to say there is talent that is abundant in most of these metros, and it is only prudent that the metros are able to leverage talent acquisition in the crucial areas of running the core business of a metro, around the issue of financial management, for example, the issue of infrastructure, and also project management capacity that needs to also be strengthened. So they are spoiled for choice, but there's been limited movement and also commitment on the part of the leadership of these metros to go to the market, but also to collaborate with professional bodies, because in the main, this talent is resident in many of these professional associations. Your engineering council, for example, your SAICA has this pool of talent that can also be brought into the space. And this is what, if you refer to the draft white paper on local government that has since been published by the COGTA ministry, is very clear that municipalities should make merit, integrity, and competence as non-negotiable pathways into senior management appointments. And we're looking forward to the approval of the draft white paper on local government by Cabinet sometime this year, and that will shape a crucial legislative reform come 2027 as part of turning around and also overhauling the whole local government system.
I'm speaking of them being spoiled for choice. I mean, there is also that staggering amount of 1.6 billion rands that these municipalities altogether have splurged on consultants. You would have then thought that that would make a lot of, a difference. And yet, no. Instead, they've actually regressed, notwithstanding the fact that they have spent, so much, such a huge amount, and especially the metros, given the fact that they have immediate access to, better and greater skills compared to local and other rural municipalities.
Definitely, and this is what the AG expressed, to say this is regrettable because in this 4-year period, there's not been any value add derived from the use of these financial reporting consultants, the rand value that you have already expressed, to say it's over 1 billion rand, and there's not been any tangible improvement on the financial performance of these municipalities. If you look at the audit outcomes as per the report, and this speaks to the need for municipalities to strengthen their internal capacity and also ensuring that they also look at the whole issue around project management skills and capacity that also needs to be beefed up and also strengthened, because in the main, municipalities deal largely with capital projects that are funded through these conditional grants, and we know the persistent problem of municipalities not being able to spend their allocated funds as per the allocations they receive from the National Treasury. So those are the issues that needs to be seriously looked into and prioritized by municipalities to better the conditions of ordinary members of the communities who are, of course, looking for provision of basic services, water, sanitation, electricity, and other crucial amenities which they're entitled for as ordinary members of the communities.
We've run out of time, but we have a few seconds left. But I have to ask you this because it's an issue you raised, and it's probably a long one because I'm probably dragging you into the arena of politics beyond governance issues. But with the finance minister cracking the whip in Johannesburg, do you see him sustaining that, not only in Johannesburg, but also, of course, extending it to other municipalities that may be in the same boat, given the fact that we're in an election year?
he does not have an option. If you look at just the sheer number of municipalities that are placed under Section 139 interventions, you go to the Northwest province, you have municipalities placed under Section 139 interventions. The same is obtaining in the Free State province, and of course across parts of the country. And in fact, this is the action we've been calling for since 2015, when this problem began to rear its ugly head across the local government system, to say it's high time national government directly intervene in the affairs of municipalities in terms of ensuring that there is proper accountability against officials who blatantly disregard the law, don't comply with the law, and also continue to embezzle public funds. And it is good that the AG is continuing to exercise her referral powers in terms of referring some of these matters to public bodies like your SIU, the Hawks, and also the Public Protector to unravel these instances of corruption and fraud that have become endemic and embedded in many of these municipalities.
Dr. Koma, let me thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. After the break, who will blink first on the Phala Phala saga controversy? The President or the Speaker of the National Assembly or the opposition parties? We're exploring that in a moment. Don't go away. It seems an out-and-out war has developed in Parliament over Phala Phala between the ANC and the opposition. And the courts look set to be the final arbiter once again. This after National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza decided to seek a second legal opinion on whether to oppose President Cyril Ramaphosa's urgent application to interdict the parliamentary impeachment proceedings against him. The initial advice from the Parliamentary Legal Services urged her to oppose the president's application. However, a second piece of advice sought from the law firm, I should say, of ANC veteran and former ANC Treasurer General Matthew Phosa went against the initial advice. Didiza has since adopted Phosa's view. Now, opposition parties want to pass a motion of no confidence against the Speaker. Newzroom Afrika Zolaga Kodasha has the details.
Two legal opinions, one choice that National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza has defended vehemently.
They would always give a client options from which to choose. They will advance an option and they would also advance another option. And it depends on what the client, having looked at those issues, makes a decision on the choice that she would make.
That choice was to file a notice to abide before the Western Cape High Court in President Cyril Ramaphosa's urgent bid to halt impeachment proceedings against him. The Speaker received two options, one from the Parliamentary Legal Services and the other from ANC veteran Matthew Phosa and former Treasurer General of the party. It advises that Didiza adopt a neutral position.
Let us be very clear about the role of the Speaker of the National Assembly. The Speaker stands above this contest. The institution of the National Assembly must remain neutral, and the Speaker is properly preserving that neutrality by filing a notice to abide the decision of the court. The Speaker has acted correctly, constitutionally, and with complete propriety throughout. And the ANC stands fully behind the office and the person of the Speaker. Any attempt to draw the Speaker into the merits of this matter is misplaced, and the ANC will not countenance it.
Didiza, meanwhile, filed an explanatory affidavit detailing various ways in which she has given effect to the Constitutional Court judgment that revived the impeachment process.
We started the process without delay. And I think that, for me, is an indication of how the Speaker's office in defense of Parliament has done. Firstly, we made sure that on the Monday 11th, we put back the report to the House, referred it to the committee that was going to be set up. A committee was set up. It's elected its chairperson. The Rules Committee was also given the judgment so that they can look at the amendments that required to be made.
This, however, has done little to allay the fears on opposition benches.
We have to put a motion in Parliament so that Parliament can take note that the Speaker has abandoned it. And we feel very strong that this matter that has got to do with impeachment must be shifted to the office of the Deputy Speaker. Our Speaker is highly conflicted, and that motion, we will sponsor it in Parliament, that the Deputy Speaker must be the one who oversees the work of the impeachment committee, because the Speaker really is conflicted. Firstly, we wrote him a letter as the EFF and said, you cannot choose the legal. Firstly, you must oppose, but you cannot choose the lawyers that are going to oppose because you voted no against the panel report. And now you go and assemble a team that must go and defend the panel report. We think you're conflicted because you've already expressed your view.
Attempts to get comment from the Speaker's office have been unsuccessful. Posa, however, says he's at liberty to provide public commentary on the matter as a member of the public, despite the legal opinion. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Zoleka Kotashe in Cape Town.
Now, as Zoleka indicated in that package, we had been seeking a comment from the Speaker's office since Wednesday, and it wasn't forthcoming. However, shortly before we came on air, the Speaker released a statement which says, among other things, that she has noted with concern the campaign of misinformation, selective interpretation of facts, and deliberate attempts to portray her implementation of the Constitutional Court judgment on the Section 89 process as being inconsistent with the work of the impeachment committee. Much of the criticism, she says, has been fueled by selective references to portions of a leaked opinion. A legal opinion is precisely that, an opinion. She then goes on to say that it's not a court order, nor is it binding on a decision maker. Legal opinions are sought to identify legal issues, present options, and inform decision making. Meanwhile, Parliament's Section 89 committee is, of course, going to continue its preparatory work. On Wednesday, it sought to refine its draft terms of reference to ensure that it can compel President Cyril Ramaphosa to appear before it. In their meeting, the inquisitorial body of lawmakers scrutinized the guidelines that will frame their investigation into the president over the theft of over $500 on his Phala Phala farm in 2020. The members, of course, or shall I say, whatever the Speaker has done is not going to affect that process at this stage. That process is indeed going ahead, at least for now. And that's why we're going to leave it for this week. Thank you for watching. Please do join us again next week, but stay put for the rest of Newzroom Africa's programming.